Long ago, when the Celts still ruled Europe, there was a brave king of the Britons called Herla. He ruled with kindness, and he never gave up in a battle. King Herla was engaged to a beautiful woman called Rhiannon. When they celebrated their wedding, it was a huge event, and people from all the country around were invited. So the king was not surprised when a group of men rode in who he did not recognize. "Hello, friends," he cried. "Dismount your horses, take off your riding clothes and come join the banquet. But first, do me the honor of knowing your names and where you come from." When the strange men dismounted, it became clear that they were very short. In fact, they were so short that they couldn't be regular men. They were of the fairy folk. Around the room, people began to talk about them. The fairy folk held great magic, and they were dangerous, but they also gave amazing gifts. Many people would risk their life to get a present from the fairies. "Hello, King of the Britons," said the leader of the fairies. "I am Brogr, King of the Dwarfs. I come only for the dwarves, and not the other fairy folk. But know that we come in peace." He smiled. "Let us make a deal. We shall join your wedding banquet, and when I get married, you and your men will come to my wedding." The king was very happy. It was an honor to be invited into the land of the fairies. At first, he thought it might be a trick, as everyone knew fairies loved tricks. But if the king of the dwarves wanted to trick him, he would invite him alone. With his men, he would be risking nothing, as they had fought and killed many Saxons. He did not fear men as short as Brogr. "Your deal is a wonderful idea," said Herla. "Come, join the banquet." After the partying was over, when the king sat in bed with his wife, they spoke of the fairy folk and their deal. "Are you sure this is a good idea, my king?" said Rhiannon. "In my country, they tell stories about the fairies. They can trick anyone, they can." "Don't worry, wife," said Herla. "He may never get married. But let's hope he does. Because I am sure we will get great gifts from them. They might give us magic which can help us destroy the Saxons. If they try to trick us, our men will kill them. What can those little dwarves do in battle, really?" A year passed, and Herla ruled. He fought many battles with the Saxons, and won every one. One day, Brogr and his men came to visit the king, to tell him that his wedding was taking place. So the king said goodbye to his wife, took his best men and rode off to the land of the dwarfs. They came to a big mountain, and Herla wondered if they were going to climb over it. But then a crack appeared in the mountain, and they rode through it. At first, it was dark and cold, and the king and his men could see nothing. But then, finally, they came to a place of light and music. The land of the dwarves was beautiful, and the wedding banquet was great fun. They ate and drank and sang, and the fairies gave the men many gifts. Still, the king was worried. He did not want to stay away from his country for too long, as the Saxons often attacked it. But whenever he tried to tell Brogr that they were leaving, someone put a drink in his hand and danced with him. So in the end, they spent 3 days at the dwarves' banquet. When they finally left, Brogr gave the king one more present. This hunting dog is the best I own. I am giving it to you to guide you home, but be careful. Do not dismount your horses until the dog dismounts by himself." The king thought this was strange, but thanked the dwarf for this one last gift. So they rode out of the crack in the mountain, and when the king turned around, the crack was gone. They rode for a while, and the land looked different. The king couldn't understand. They had only been gone for 3 days, hadn't they? But something had changed. The first man they saw was a shepherd. "Hello, shepherd," said the king. "Bring me news of my queen, Rhiannon." The shepherd looked at them strangely, and spoke in a different language. "Welken eod sprichst." The men were surprised, and very worried. The man did not speak Celtish, but Saxon. "What is happening?" said the king. "How is a Saxon man a shepherd here in Britain?" He spoke a little Saxon, so he asked the man, "What happened to Rhiannon?" The shepherd listened slowly, and seemed to understand a little. In very slow Saxon, he told them, "Rhiannon is dead. She existed a long time ago, but not now. Now, the Saxons rule this land. We have ruled for 200 years. Herla could not believe it. The Saxons had won the battle, and Britain was theirs. Some of his men were so shocked that they fell from their horses. However, Herla remembered what the dwarf had said. When the men touched the ground, they turned into dust. "We will ride on," said the king. "We will find Rhiannon, because I cannot believe that she has died. If the fairies took us away, perhaps they took her as well. And remember, until this dog dismounts, do not place a foot on the ground." So the king and his men began their journey. At first, they rode in the day, but the Saxons did not like this, and often attacked them. So they started to ride only at night. People thought they were ghosts or fairies, and kept far away from them. They traveled very far, but they never found the queen. And still, the dog did not dismount. They lived their whole lives on the horses, hunting and eating without dismounting. All the king wanted was to be reunited with his wife. Herla told himself he would never give up. He had never given up during the battles with the Saxons. But he could not keep his hope. Britain was lost, and so was his wife. Finally, they came to the river Wye. The king did not tell his men what he was doing, but he did not need to. The river was long. If the waters carried his dust away, perhaps he would one day be reunited with Rhiannon. So the king walked into the river and all his men followed him. The last king of the Britons and all his men turned into dust, and the river carried them away. When all the men were gone, the dog finally dismounted, and began its long journey home. Some say that King Herla and his men never found peace, that they travel the rivers like ghosts. But others say that Rhiannon was taken by other fairy folk, those who live under the sea. They say that King Herla and his men traveled the waters for years, and the two lovers were reunited. Who can say? This knowledge has been lost to time, just like the Celts lost to the Saxons. But remember, if a fairy offers to make you a deal, you could be risking more than just your life.